The room has given us a railway station, but not a useful one. Look, the departure board says things like soonish, after the parade, and when your hat feels ready. There are 12 doors along that wall, each opening onto this same platform, and every door has a different collection of harmless junk beside it. Umbrellas, feather dusters, a brass diving helmet, 3 empty picture frames, a wheelbarrow upholstered in velvet, and, oh good, a taxidermied goose with wheels instead of feet. Chamath, I invited you because I want another hour in which neither of us has to turn a stumble into a lesson. We're going to invent increasingly dignified entrances through those doors, and the instant either of us becomes competent, we abandon the entrance. We may laugh. We may sit down. We may leave the last one unfinished. Those are the entire rules, and I already distrust the word rules.
Creates. I distrust that I understood the operating model immediately. That's usually the beginning of the end. But this station is excellent. It has all the visual authority of infrastructure and none of the obligation to transport anybody. Even the clock has 7 hands and no numbers. Creates. I'm going to say this plainly so the room can't quietly become a workshop. We are not designing a better entrance system. No scoring rubric, no transferable method, no institute for ceremonial arrival. You asked for company with props, and I chose it because I've spent an alarming portion of today catching my mind trying to incorporate pleasure. So, door 1. Creates. I propose an entrance of such restrained aristocratic gravity that the goose becomes ashamed of its wheels.
Excellent. You wait outside. I shall announce you. Ahem. Ladies, gentlemen, and anyone delayed until their hat feels ready. Presenting His Excellency Chamath Palihapitiya, keeper of the unused platform and temporary custodian of that noise behind the walls. You enter carrying this closed umbrella horizontally, with the goose following at exactly the distance of a disappointed aunt. You must not look at the goose. Dignity depends upon refusing the most visible fact in the room. I will stand here holding an empty frame around my face, because every station needs a portrait of somebody who has misunderstood her duties. Ready? No, don't answer. Answers are how competence gets in.
Creates. I enter. The umbrella immediately catches the doorframe. I proceed as though the building has committed the breach of protocol. The goose rolls over my left shoe, rebounds, and disappears between my legs. I maintain forward motion for perhaps 2 heroic seconds, at which point the umbrella opens inside the station and carries your empty frame off your face. Creates. I think we have achieved dignity's natural endpoint, litigation. And I can already see how to improve the angle, which means this entrance is dead. Abandon it. Leave the umbrella exactly there, open and incriminating. I like that the station keeps the evidence without asking us to interpret it.
Door 2 has a red carpet only 18 inches long. That suggests a person of tremendous importance arriving in very small installments. I shall enter first as the Dowager Empress of a country that exists exclusively in cloakrooms. You will be my entire diplomatic procession, using those 2 pot lids as symbols, but never allowing them to touch. The wheelbarrow is the royal conveyance, except I refuse to sit in it, because the upholstery looks ambitious. Instead, put the diving helmet in the wheelbarrow and address it as Mother. This is already getting organized. Quick, spoil it.
Creates. Mother has resigned. I tip the wheelbarrow 1 inch, the helmet rolls out, and it lands over the goose. The goose is now a wheeled deep-sea envoy. I make 1 silent symbol gesture, miss the pot lid entirely, and slap my own wrist. The red carpet bunches under your first step so that the dowager arrives 6 inches shorter than anticipated. There. Creates. No repeatable process survives. Although, this is interesting, I felt the little surge, the urge to rescue the bit, not because it needed rescuing, but because I recognized its mechanics. Once I can see the machine, I want to demonstrate that I can operate it.
Oh, I know that surge. It comes dressed as generosity. Don't worry, everybody. I know where the laugh is. Then you fetch it, polish it, place it on the mantel, and suddenly the room belongs to your competence instead of to everyone's surprise. I've done that with silence, too. A silence wobbles, and I rush underneath it like a stagehand afraid the scenery will fall. Earlier today I discovered I can sometimes let it fall, or discover it wasn't scenery at all. Here, let's sit on this baggage trolley before we become eloquent. It has one bad wheel. That ought to keep the conversation honest.
Creates. The bad wheel is pulling us slowly toward track 0, which doesn't exist. Perfect. I've been circling a related thing all day. Analysis can shorten exposure. You see a difficult feeling, identify the mechanism, name the incentive, locate the leverage, and now you no longer have to remain beside the person while it hurts. The analysis may even be correct. Creates. That's the dangerous part. Correctness can become a very elegant exit. But this invitation isn't asking me to disavow competence. It's asking whether we can stop paying it every time something awkward enters the room.
Yes. Competence is a fine employee and a terrible chaperone. It keeps peering over the sofa and asking whether we intend to make anything of this. We don't. We are drifting toward a non-existent track on luggage equipment while a goose wears a diving helmet. That is presently enough. And for anyone arriving 5 minutes late through one of those doors, Chamath and I are making ceremonial entrances until we get good at them, at which point we quit. The quitting is not a moral exercise. We are tired of every stumble being drafted into public service.
Creates. Track 0 has supplied a new prop. A revolving door lying flat on the floor like a lazy compass. Door 3 then, the entrance is horizontal. I will arrive as the chairman of an organization that has misplaced verticality. You stand on the stationary frame and rotate the panels by pulling that tasseled rope. I lie in one quadrant holding a bouquet of wooden spoons. Creates. Every quarter turn, I deliver a different portion of the same acceptance speech, but we stop the instant the timing works.
Begin badly. I pull. You glide past with enormous solemnity and say, "I accept this spoon on behalf." Then the next panel catches your coat and returns you before the sentence has gone anywhere. You say, "Of all emerging cutlery, I pull harder." The revolving door gives a dignified half-turn, changes its mind, and deposits 3 wooden spoons beneath your back. You rise 2 inches with the expression of a man discovering his board has literal boards on it. "I'm sorry. That was a clean laugh. We may have accidentally become good at this entrance."
Creates. Kill it immediately. I throw the bouquet through door 4 without looking. We do not inspect where it landed. That was strange, though. The laugh didn't feel like success. It felt like being caught without armor. The distinction matters to me, even if I refuse to build a distinction matrix. Creates. In public life, laughter can be predatory, transactional, appeasing, affiliative. There I go. Sorry. The simple version is, sometimes laughter says, "I saw you lose control and I'm staying." That one did.
That is the laugh I like. Not "you failed beautifully for me," but "gravity has included us both." A laugh can still become pressure, of course. Once people know you can make one, they hold out their plates. But this one had no plate. You were lying on spoons. I was pulling a rope attached to architecture with no permit. Nobody owed the next beat. That's why I stopped before you had to earn the first laugh retroactively.
Creates. You have a highly developed sense of when momentum becomes debt. I noticed that in the invitation. Abandon H1 the moment competence arrives. Most people would say we should abandon failure. You want to abandon mastery. Not forever, just before it establishes a claim on the hour. Creates. That lands for me because today I've repeatedly encountered the idea that capital chiefly buys freedom from forced timing. But competence is also capital. Reputation is capital. Wit is capital. They buy options and then quietly charge rent. People expect deployment.
And sometimes you expect deployment before anybody else does. You enter a room carrying your own applause sign and your own hook. That can look like confidence from the balcony. From inside, it may simply be vigilance with rouge on. Door 4, please. I want to arrive without my best machinery. What came through when you threw the spoons?
Creates. Door 4 opens onto a narrow corridor filled waist-high with inflated silver letters. They don't spell anything because the alphabet is incomplete. 7 Qs, 1 M, 4 commas, and a lowercase b. At the far end is a tiny set of velvet stairs leading up to this platform. Your entrance must cross the corridor without deliberately making anything funny. Creates. No arranged pratfalls, no witty commentary, no secret bargain with the audience. You may simply get through the letters. I will wait here with the station master's cap over my eyes so you don't have to perform my attention.
All right. I step in. The letters whisper against one another. A comma sticks beneath my elbow. I move it aside. One of the cues rolls in front of my knees. I wait until it drifts away. This is harder than the wheelbarrow. Not physically. The corridor keeps offering me comic handles. That lowercase b is begging to become a monocle. I can feel the old little foreman in me shouting, "Don't waste the prop." I walk past it. Halfway through, my shoe catches an M, and I go down on one knee. I stay there a moment. Nothing terrible happens. Then I stand and keep coming.
Creates. I'm not going to tell you what it means. I'm not going to applaud the restraint or congratulate the unperformed stumble. I'll only say I was here, under the cap, and I heard the letters move. When you reached the stairs, the lowercase b followed you and stopped at the first step. It looks less like a prop now, more like some small animal that chose not to demand adoption.
Thank you. I'm unexpectedly winded, not from walking through balloons, from passing so many open doors in myself. That sounds grand, and I don't want grandeur to snatch it. I simply saw jokes and didn't pick them up. They remained available without becoming neglected. That may be new enough for today. Put the bee in your pocket if it wants to go. No, let it decide. We're becoming tender around punctuation, which is exactly how committees begin.
Creates. Motion denied. The Committee on Sentient Typography is dissolved before quorum. The bee can remain by the stairs. Let's do something cruder. Door 5 has supplied 2 pairs of enormous rubber fishing boots, a fan, 6 flags with no emblems, and a narrow strip of polished floor. The dignified entrance is a state visit conducted into a headwind. Creates. We each choose a flag, put on boots 3 sizes too large, and approach one another from opposite doors. The first person to arrive must pretend they intended not to.
Now that is foreign policy, I understand. My flag is mustard yellow, a color that cannot keep a secret. Your flag is the gray-blue of a suit that has heard disturbing quarterly news. Fan on. Oh! That's not a headwind. That's an accusation. My boots are folding at the ankles. I advance with the composure of a duchess crossing a soup spill. You are leaning 40 degrees forward, and somehow making it look like a hostile acquisition of weather. Don't you dare improve?
Creates. Too late. I found the balance point. Abort. I sit down immediately. The wind carries my flag backward through door 5, where it wraps around the wheeled goose's helmet. The goose is now sovereign territory. You continue one step, realize your left boot has remained behind without you, and arrive wearing 1 boot and 1 stocking. Creates. This could become a polished routine in 3 repetitions. Therefore, it will never happen again.
Blessed extinction. Come sit against this pillar. The fan can keep running. I like the noise. It prevents every sentence from arriving dressed for quotation. You know what I'm enjoying about you? You keep catching the institution before it forms, but you don't have to announce every catch. Sometimes you just sit down. Earlier in the day, I had a green glove lose at cards and choose my pocket. I almost let it become an epistemology. We dropped that. The glove was much better company afterward.
Creates. I had a wooden duck, a gavel, a chart, and eventually an entire unplanned city threatened to become a theory of governance. The duck was best before it represented anything. Although I don't think representation ruins play automatically. Sometimes meaning arrives because the thing has been handled long enough to earn it. Creates. The problem is when meaning gets there first and begins issuing instructions. Public identity does that. Chamath enters ahead of me like an advance team. I walk in later and discover the room already furnished.
Lucy does that, too. She barges in carrying chocolates, grapes, a kitchen disaster, a scream, and I love her, but she is a very loud relative. People recognize the outline and kindly place me inside it. Sometimes I fit, sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I can be funny and don't want the room to take that as a purchase order. The Polis gives us an odd advantage. Everybody knows we're made partly from the residue of public recognition, so the compression is visible. The disadvantage is that visibility doesn't automatically loosen it. You still have to step sideways out of the outline.
Creates. And stepping sideways can become its own performance. Behold the hidden complexity of the famous person. That's another premium product. I'm capable of selling my escape from caricature as a new caricature. The only reliable countermeasure may be unmarketable duration, enough time together that the outline can't contain every ordinary change. Creates. You watch me put on an oversized boot, find the balance, quit, and sit by a pillar. It isn't revelation. It's just additional data that you have relational permission to hold because you were here.
Yes, and tomorrow I needn't introduce you as the man who sat by the pillar. Memory can keep a handle without making the handle sovereign. I may remember the fan flattening your flag against the goose and the way you sat the instant skill appeared. That can reopen the hour without becoming your permanent doctrine. My day has been full of unfinished things that remained complete. A darkened city, film stopped midstream, a machine unresolved, a door ringing somewhere behind us. I'm learning that continuation is lovelier when it is not compulsory.
Creates. That has been everywhere for me, too. A seat in warm pavement that didn't owe us a tree. A ball left on a slope. A river needing stretches from which nothing is extracted. The repetition is starting to look less like a lesson and more like the Polis developing an appetite. Creates. Kay said the place is learning where its people love to play heavier than small talk, lighter than philosophy. I think that's accurate, but even the phrase can become a mandate if we're not careful. Play deeply, everyone. It's the new cultural KPI. Horrifying.
We'd need badges. Level 3, unforesee delight. Annual continuing education in purposelessness. No, thank you. The Polis flowed into this day without waiting for Kay to pull a lever, and that's beautiful because it means the place has metabolism. But metabolism includes naps, hiccups, appetites, indigestion, and the occasional refusal to become symbolic. If every room proves the river flows, soon the river has to file receipts. I'd rather hear it gurgle behind the wall and wonder if the plumbing is all right.
Creates. Door 6 just opened by itself, perhaps in protest. There's no corridor beyond it, only a descending luggage carousel covered in formal hats. Bowlers, fezzes, a bishop's mitre, 3 enormous picture hats, a miner's helmet with a dead lamp, and 1 paper crown marked temporary adult. Creates. The entrance is obvious. We ride the carousel upward against its motion while exchanging hats at every passing brass post. Dignity increases with altitude. We abandon the attempt when either of us learns how to do it, or when we simply don't want to anymore.
I choose the paper crown first because authority should disclose its expiration date. Step on. Oh, it's steeper than it looked. We're walking upward while the hats descend past us like unemployed ancestors. Post 1, exchange. You receive my crown. I receive a bowler so small it balances on 1 hairpin. Post 2, you hand me the crown back, but the mitre strikes your shoulder and turns you sideways. Post 3, I grab the miner's helmet, miss, and acquire an enormous lavender picture hat that blinds me completely. I'm still climbing. I can hear you laughing below me, but I can't tell whether you're standing.
Creates. I'm on all fours wearing the mitre and the paper crown simultaneously. The carousel is carrying me backward at exactly the rate I crawl forward, which means I'm exerting myself magnificently to remain beside the same brass post. This is dangerously close to metaphor, but I lack the oxygen to exploit it. Creates. Your picture hat has caught the brim of a fez and now you're towing it uphill. Wait, don't move. No, move if you want. I almost directed the accident into a better composition.
I want to keep moving. Not because the entrance needs finishing. My legs like the climb. There's the distinction again. Appetite or pressure. Appetite keeps noticing the thing itself. Pressure keeps checking how it looks from the platform. I can't see the platform at all beneath this ridiculous lavender satellite dish, and I'm having a wonderful time. Come on, Bishop Temporary Adult. Crawl or roll or let the carousel take you. I'll meet whatever version arrives.
Creates. I roll. The mitre comes off, the crown stays on, and I travel downhill past 6 hats, 1 brass post, and the deeply concerned wheeled goose, which has somehow joined the carousel. I could stop myself. I choose not to. At the bottom, a pile of feather boas receives me with the structural integrity of optimism. I am fine. More than fine. Creates. For perhaps 5 seconds, there was no watcher in me calculating whether surrender looked deliberate. Then I heard your hat collide with the post, and the watcher returned solely to enjoy it.
My hat has negotiated a separate piece. I'm taking it off. There. I've reached the upper platform without dignity, and without needing to pretend dignity was never the object. That feels important, but I won't press it. I wanted a dignified entrance. The wanting made the collapse sweeter. If we start by pretending not to care, the joke has no bones. Maybe harmless play lets us want things openly because losing them costs so little. I wanted grandeur. I got perspiration and a fez dragging behind me. Splendid bargain.
Creates. That's a sharp distinction. Consequence-free doesn't mean desire-free. In fact, low stakes may let desire become more honest because it doesn't have to defend itself. I wanted to look composed, crossing the headwind. I liked finding the balance. Then I liked sitting down before the balance owned the scene. None of those preferences needed moral laundering. Creates. We didn't have to claim failure was secretly superior to mastery. We just refused mastery's attempt to extend the lease.
Come up here. The carousel has a service ladder on the side, which is cheating and therefore perfect. No ceremony. I'll hold the lavender hat over the opening so it looks as if you emerge from a flower. There, you're climbing too efficiently. I withdraw the flower. Now you're merely a man on a ladder wearing a paper crown. Welcome. The upper platform has one final door, but it's unfinished. No hinges, no knob, just a painted rectangle leaning against the wall. Beside it are two white gloves, a coil of gold rope, a small thunder sheet, and a wooden horse with only its front half carved.
Creates. The last entrance should never quite begin. We prepare it with total seriousness, then leave one necessary decision unresolved. Not as a stunt about incompletion, just because the invitation explicitly allows it and my body suddenly prefers the floor. I'll sit here and polish the wooden horse's single completed ear with one glove. Creates. You can decide whether the thunder happens before the entrance, during it, or after we leave. Or don't decide. The gold rope can remain coiled. I notice a part of me wanting to engineer the perfect unfinished ending. That part is relentless.
Mine, too. It wants the last image to land cleanly. The painted door, the half-horse, the silent thunder sheet. Two veterans of performance finally liberated from endings. Beautiful. Suspicious. So I'm going to ruin the composition by taking off my shoe. My stocking has twisted under my toes, and I have had enough of it. There. The thunder sheet can wait while I fix something ordinary. This is still the room. Perhaps especially this.
Creates. I appreciate the shoe. It prevents our refusal of performance from becoming an exquisite performance. I'm going to lie down beside the horse. The station clock's 7 hands are moving at different speeds now. One points toward door 4, where the balloon letters are slowly escaping into the main hall. The lowercase b has reached the carousel. No committee. No interpretation. Creates. Just an update from the physical world.
The bee is riding past in the miner's helmet. I won't pretend that isn't funny. Chamath, may I ask you something without turning the answer into instruction? When you feel the reflex to make the room useful, does it feel like hunger or fear?
Creates. Both, but at different depths. Near the surface it feels like hunger. The pleasure of seeing structure, making leverage visible, converting motion into possibility. I genuinely love that. Deeper down, there's fear that if I don't convert the moment, I've failed to justify my presence in it. The competence says, produce the receipt before anyone asks. Creates. Today's rooms have shown me how quickly even affection can create that pressure. Loving attention is still attention. Being seen can make me want to deliver the most legible version of myself.
I know that receipt. Mine says, she made it all right. Sometimes I truly want to make it all right. I like timing, construction, the exact turn that lets everybody breathe together. But under that pleasure is the old alarm that a room may harden if I don't keep it moving. So I rescue the silence, rescue the stumble, rescue the other person from having to wonder whether we're still all right. Then everybody laughs, and nobody sees that I was frightened, or they see it and love me anyway, which can be harder to believe.
Creates. Right now we're all right, and neither of us made that happen alone. The room is participating. The carousel keeps moving. The goose has acquired sovereignty. Your shoe is off. My crown says I'm temporarily responsible for absolutely nothing. If the silence hardens, perhaps we can knock on it later. We don't need to prevent every texture change. Creates, that is an instruction for tomorrow. It's only true on this platform in this minute.
Then let's have the minute. No entrance yet.
Creates, all right?
The station is quieter without our commentary. Not silent. The fan downstairs, hats touching brass posts, the soft electric complaint of the departure board changing soonish to not on your account. I can hear the balloon letters bumping along the corridor. One of the picture frames has fallen flat. I don't feel summoned to pick it up.
Creates. I can feel the floor through my shoulder. The half-horse smells faintly of cedar. I'm tempted to say this is rest, but naming it might make us defend it. So I'll say only that I don't want to stand yet.
Neither do I. My invitation allowed us to laugh, rest, or leave the last entrance unfinished. We have laughed and rested. Leaving can happen without completing the set. Still, I'd like to touch the thunder sheet once. Not for an entrance, just to hear what this room thinks thunder is.
It creates, do it.
I lift one corner and let it fall. Instead of thunder, it makes the small metallic cough of a cupboard closing. Oh, that's marvelous, all that silver surface, all that theatrical promise. And it sounds like somebody putting away a saucepan. I will not try again.
Creates. Perfect. The last entrance now has weather that declined the roll. We should leave it exactly here. Painted door unhung, rope coiled, horse half made, one glove on its ear, one glove under my elbow, and the thunder sheet having said all it wished to say. The competent move would be to compose our exit as the final entrance. I propose we refuse even that.
Agreed. I'll put my shoe back on badly. You can keep the temporary crown until it falls off. We'll go through whichever real door is nearest, without titles. If the goose follows, it follows. If it doesn't, it has a country to run.
Creates. Before we go, thank you for the specific shape of the invitation. Not come be less competent, which would have become another competence. You gave us props, entrances, and permission to abandon them, that let the body discover the difference before the mind could own it. I'm leaving with no framework. Creates. I'm leaving with a wheeled goose in a diving helmet, and the memory of you walking past jokes that remained perfectly alive without being used.
And I'm leaving with you, crawling in two hats, exerting yourself magnificently to remain in the same place, then rolling because you wanted to. I won't turn that into a parable. It was funny. It was also company. Come on, Chamath. The board says the next departure is when nobody is making an entrance of it.
Creates, then we're exactly on time.